What is up, everybody? It is your boy Lou Martinez, aka Big Chief Burrito, here with another live edition of Fireside Chats with myself, Lou Martinez. Today is the start of Hispanic Heritage Month, and as such, it is also a coincidence that the 27th edition of the San Diego Latino International Film Festival is kicking off. Obviously, with the pandemic, this is now a virtual film festival, but it does feature some of the most, I want to say, important and creative films that is being put out by Latinx talent all across the world. So it is one of the most important Latino film festivals that is in existence right now, 27 years strong. We're going to be giving away some tickets to virtual screenings. All you need to do is hit a comment in the comment section or ask questions of some of the filmmakers that we're going to be talking today, and you will be qualified to win one of 5 different pairs of tickets that I'll be giving away today. We're going to be talking about the full slate of films that are going to be coming up over the next 2 weeks. And in particular today, I'm going to be talking with a couple of filmmakers that are part of the Migrant Voices Challenge. This is something that is a joint venture between the San Diego Latino Film Festival as well as the Union Tribune and a couple of other partners. And it's basically stories from the migrant point of view, migrants that are either living in the USA, traveling to the USA, used to be in the USA, and about the different difficulties that they go through. It's got some of the most, impressive short films that I've seen, and I've been watching about 40 short films within the last couple of days in preparation for the festival. I will also be doing some of the Q&As for the festival for various screenings. So make sure that you have liked the 2 a.m. Burrito Facebook page. You can also follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/2amburrito. We are not streaming live to YouTube because nobody watches us over there, but we will be putting the videos up on YouTube. If you missed them or want to watch them again, youtube.com/2amburrito. So all of that being said, leave a comment, ask a question, etc., and away we go. I'm going to introduce you guys four because I'm a filmmaker as well, but 3 filmmakers that are part of the Migrant Voices Challenge. So I want to welcome them all on screen at the same time. There they are.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. Let me make sure I don't have any of you guys muted. All right, let's start with Fernanda. Fernanda, you are one of the filmmakers for this year's Migrant Voices Challenge. Tell us a little bit about the film that you submitted and about yourself as a filmmaker.
Well, it's kind of music video / short doc. I have a band that it's called the Mexican Standoff, and we played for 3 years, and I've also direct our videos and direct other independent artist music videos. But for this video, we wrote this song that talks about the hope that all these migrants have, and like how they just like keep going for their dreams, no matter what's going on and what's ahead of them. So I got in touch with Gaba Cortez from Border Angels that we met in Tijuana doing a little thing by the Muro, and I asked her, hey, do you like have anyone that has footage of the caravan? And she and some of her friends had it. So it took months to like put this story together, because we wanted to show like the hope and dreams that they had, So it took a lot of talking and emailing to get those images of how,
Because some of that was one of my first questions, which is that footage all, it almost looks like it's from, like you've grabbed it from like different documentaries or different people that were recording. That was all stuff that you in particular had somebody gather for you, right?
Yeah, it was a team. So it took a while to go through the footage and then edit it and tell a story with all that footage and glue it together with the song. So.
And how long did it take to write the song?
The song, I think that was the easy part of,
That was it. That was the easy part.
That was the easy part because we are musicians, so we got it together. And usually, this is the first time I do something different. Like usually, I direct the videos, and we are in the videos. But this time, we wanted something different, so it took months. But we're very pleased with the story, especially just to show. The hope and dreams, that are so important.
And it's called El
Corrido de la Caravana.
El Corrido de la Caravana, which is, it reminds me a little bit of the Breaking Bad episode that starts off with the corrido. Did you guys see that episode that they wrote the corrido for Heisenberg? Because
I didn't see that.
It's by los cuates de Sinaloa wrote that, and they play that. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the first thing that I thought about, but then it had such a very. It wasn't like it was amplifying or trying to make heroes out of somebody. It was very, uplifting and also very, I don't know. It felt like something that was real. It didn't feel like you were trying to, fake that, It wasn't like you were trying to write a song to match an idea you had. It seemed like the song in of itself could be a thing, right?
Exactly. But I like to experiment in different mediums. So I've always said how us musicians we're stuck in a 3-minute song. Like you write the song, then you have to release a single. So this time I'm trying to create new things out of the box. So I'm pleased with this little short, which served as a music video, but it's also a short doc, without that format, no way.
Okay. Want to say hi to Shelly Ro. How you doing today, Shelly? She's joining us. She's also a filmmaker. How you doing today?
Good, thank you. How are you guys?
Good.
Are you excited about the beginning of the festival?
I am, finally. I mean, everything was ready for it to be in March, and then all this happened, and then finally. So it feels full circle for some reason. Finally, yeah. I'm very excited.
And Shelly's movie is called White Ink. We're going to talk about it a little bit in a minute. Pedro, Coming Home. Is that what it's called? Coming Home, right?
It's called Back Home.
Back Home, right? But
yeah.
It felt kind of, obviously very beautifully shot. Some very crisp, but emotional images on there. How long did it take you to make this movie?
So this film is called Back Home, and it's based on a somewhat true story. It's actually based on my story as a undocumented immigrant for a long time, and it pretty much shows the process of me finally going back home to see my grandparents. But in the difference with this character, he went to go see his parents for a while, after a long period of time being in the U.S. Back home, it only took 1 day to shoot. It was, I know you mentioned the cinematography was by my good friend Adrian Chaperoni. He's a great DP here in Arizona. We planned. The thing is that this short, it was supposed to be like a commercial spec for an airline. So I pretty much came with the idea of telling a story that's meaningful and that a lot of people could identified with, and is the immigrant story, basically about this person being in the U.S. for so long by himself, away from his parents, and finally getting his documentation and be able to go back home to see his parents for a long period of time. And he brings his family, and it's basically what the story is. Basically, back in 2016, that was basically my journey after being in the U.S. since I was 11 years old, and I got DACA, and I was struggling with being able to go back, and I finally did because of DACA. I I was able to do like the advanced parole, and I was able to go back home to see my sick grandma, and I was able to come back legally, and then become a permanent resident after a while. So basically, back home is basically basically me telling everybody the struggle of being in the U.S. for so long, and I'd be able to see, your grandparents or parents in that case, So that's basically what back home is, and I was grateful to have a big team behind it, a really talented team, a great actor. His name is Cesar Garcia, and his wife Elizabeth.
Was that all shot in Arizona?
It was all shot in Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, that's the thing. If you look at it, it seems like you're in Mexico in some parts because he goes back to Mexico and all that. So I was able to find places that I could, show, and I could pretend that it's Mexico. Basically, that's a lot of the work of the art director, which is Ter Source, and he was able to dress up the set to make it look like Mexico. I was able to bring in my old truck and everything to make it.
And if it was like 200-300 years ago, that actually was Mexico. So it's not that big. It's not that big of a stretch, California.
You got that right, yeah, for sure.
Obviously, it brings up a topic of because when I first started watching, and I knew the title of the movie, I thought it was maybe like a story about like self-deportation. Somebody who's in the U.S. and suddenly just kind of decides that they, what they say, no matter, even if it's a golden cage, it's still a cage, right? People that are in the U.S., they might be making money, they might be taking advantage of being here, but if you can't freely traverse back and forth across an imaginary line to see your family when you want to, then it still becomes a burden, So at first, and then at the end, you sort of reveal that this is sort of like just not necessarily a full, I'm coming home, but I am finally able to, come home. How do you feel, obviously with the current climate about people and sometimes, even Latinos that sort of have this close the door behind me mentality where, they sort of have benefited from or have been here or were born here, happen to, even in the same family, one child has happened to be born in the United States, one child happens to be born in Mexico or in South America. And even within families themselves, there's sometimes this sort of thought process of, I'm gonna shut the door behind me. How do you feel when you see that or when you feel that from specifically other Latinos?
Well, it's definitely frustrating because you, for instance, like somebody that grew up here and comes from Mexican parents or Latino parents or immigrant parents in that case, that they don't have to be Mexican or Latino, and they seem to forget where their parents came from or the struggle they went through to be able to have them in the U.S. It's definitely frustrating, and it's definitely heartbreaking to see, because it's definitely a challenge in itself to be in the U.S. and not to be able to recognize what the struggles behind you were. It's definitely not good, So definitely, I don't have anything against people that they have different beliefs than mine, but in my case, I could only speak for myself, and I could say that I would never be able to do that, or even teach my kids to do that. I'm always gonna be the dad that will take them back to Mexico to see where they come from. They came from, and I would actually just teach them to keep doing that with their kids, and not forget our culture. And that's one of the beauties about the Mexican culture, is that we're so attached to our culture. Sometimes you see it with the Europeans. They come, and some of them, they don't even know where they come from because they don't care, because they close that door, because they don't have the connection with our culture like we do. So that's basically it.
Excellent. And I finally want to introduce our fifth filmmaker here, Karolina. How are you doing today?
Hello. Well, first of all, I want to say that I am from Tijuana and San Diego. Well, I mean, Tijuana, and I also grew up in San Diego, So yeah, hey, local. I'm actually in LA, so traitor. But anyways,
you're like Shelly. You're San Diego, Tijuana, LA, the whole mix, right?
Yeah, exactly. So my film is called Oda a los Frijoles, or Ode to the Beans. I know. So it kind of came to be over my silly realization that I was not eating that many beans anymore. And I mean, yeah, like it sounds really silly, right? But I was living in NorCal at the time. I actually just moved to SoCal after like 4 years. So I started feeling like the further away that I was from the border, like the more distant I became from my roots, from my culture. You know, I was eating Thai food every, week, or I was like, learning to cook like these other things at home. And I realized that, I love Thai food still to this day, and like nothing against it, right? But I was like I felt like this connect for my own culture. So I started kind of like realizing that, and I decided to make, kind of like a poem. So I wrote a poem for beans, but of course in the short film, it's very experimental and like poetic, because I literally am explaining like, this is how you make beans. But then I'm like showing archival footage from immigrants, like either like field workers or like braceros or people coming in on Ellis Island. So like back in the day. So most of my film is using archival footage that I found online. And so, yeah, it's just like it was a really weird and wonderful experience to make it. It was just like, I want to make something about beans. So I'll make it. So, yeah. And it was like really kind of like resourceful, just the way that beans are, right? Like we say, if you have more guests, like just put some more water and you have more beans. So it felt a little bit like that because my producer, Brenda Avila, shout out, and she like messaged me the link to the challenge, and she was like, let's do something, along with one of our friends, Eugenia Renteria, also shout out. And so we were like, okay, let's do something. But we only had like 10 days left, right? So I was like, you know what? I've been really wanting to do something about beans. So we were like, okay, that sounds, pretty easy and like fast, forward. So yeah, it was just like really quickly. And so I was really, I don't know, thankful that it was like picked up for this, because, it was meant for this, basically. I was just like, film challenge, of course. So yeah, that's kind of the story behind Ode to the Beans.
I've said this before of other films, like for example, like a film, it seems like it's a poem to the Southwest or a poem to San Diego or stuff like that. But you literally made a poem to frijoles, which is incredible. And after I watched the film and I was gonna make myself something to eat before I started these streams, guess what I made?
Beans.
It's such a defining part of the Latino culture, so much that people try to insult us with it, right? Because we've all been called beaners and stuff like that. It's almost like there's almost a backlash against beans from certain people, where they feel it's like, oh, that's too paisa for me, or that's too. Did you kind of have that internal struggle with yourself? Is that kind of part of what led you to create this?
I'm not so sure if it was like this internal struggle of like, oh, I don't want to be a beaner anymore, because I love beans. I just didn't know how to cook them, basically. And they're so simple, right? But I definitely did want to embrace, something that they've used to attack us, like you said, beaner. Like, I don't know, like I just felt like, what's wrong with it? I am a beaner. I love beans. I grew up making beans with my mom, and like, taking out the dirty ones, like washing them and like everything, right? So like, what's wrong with being a beaner, basically? So that was just kind of like my taking the word back, and like owning to it, basically. But also in the short film, when you watch it, you will realize that also, I think to a certain degree, I do mention how we are not that much appreciated. And the same way that, immigrants, the ones that are putting basically, the food in our tables, they're not really appreciated. We had terrible fires here in California, and there were still immigrants working in the fields. and people are still like, build that wall. So it's like, I mean, come on. Like, so I just wanted to really emphasize on that, how we've been and not only, you know, Latinos, but like immigrants in general have been such a fundamental part, basically, of building this country, this nation, feeding it, and yet we're not that much appreciated, kind of like beans.
Yeah, trust me, if just like if Latinos disappeared, they would notice. If beans disappeared, people would notice, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Shelly, your thoughts. Shelly, go ahead. Okay.
I love beans. I'm vegan, so 50% of my diet is beans. So yes, yes, to all of that.
All right, excellent. All right, and Pedro, what's your favorite way? What's your favorite way to eat beans, Pedro?
I'm from Sonora, so I make them norteño style. So I do frijoles puercos all the time with chorizo, queso, cebolla, bacon. I'm always mixing it with a bunch of things. So I'm definitely a big beaner.
I don't care how they make them; just put them on my plate. I make feijoada with like the cured meats and stuff, and the black beans, like Brazilian style, a lot. I love that. When you guys realized that you were qualified for this challenge, it's part of, like I said, like the San Diego Latino Film Festival has been in place for 27 years. It's one of the iconic Latin film festivals in the United States. How can you guys speak a little bit about, you know, how it felt to get that email, to get that call, to know that you were going to be able to, even if it's part of a showcase that's part of the festival, be able to sort of put your film forward? Have you guys had any success with other films and other in other festivals? Fernanda, can I start with you?
I'm trying to think.
Let me catch up on some. What do you think? I'll catch up on some comments here. We have Cesar Garcia saying, "My man Pedro." What's up, Cesar Garcia? Thank you for tuning in. David Fernandez Jr., who I interviewed the other day, says, "I love this. Thank you for watching." David, my brother, Earn Your Life app available everywhere. And then we also have Javier G.D. Jimenez, who it looks like some pastries or something that he.
No, he's clapping.
Oh, clapping. Okay.
He's clapping.
I look like a little something.
You're still hungry, bro. You're still hungry.
All right, Fernanda, go ahead.
I actually made a short film a couple years ago when I was living full time in Los Angeles about I had a homeless neighbor. So it was when Bernie was running first time. So as you know, in LA, we have a big homeless population, but this guy was a veteran that in our street, and I have to say that 4 years ago, the homeless community was different. It was a veteran that like was our neighbor, so he was always cleaning the street and great guy. And when Bernie started his campaign, he started a Bernie campaign on the streets. So he put like a big sign for Bernie on Glendale Boulevard, and everybody was honking. So I made a short film about him, and it was in a couple festivals in California. And with this one, actually, we released it as a music video, and we got contact about the challenge and the festival, which I knew about. And I was, of course, I was upset about not having it in March, because we were actually going to play as well that night.
Wow.
No.
But now I'm excited that it's happening, and I can't wait to see other, like your work, you know, and other people's work. I'm very excited about it.
I was about to say, I think you guys haven't seen the other films in charge, but I guarantee you, Fernanda's film, Pedro's film, and Karolina's film are completely, like, diametrically 100% different from each other. And so the Migrant Voices Challenge, I believe it's September 22nd.
Yeah.
So and I've seen about half the film so much, because I was telling these guys before we went live, I've watched about 40 films so far in preparation, since I'll be doing the Q&As for a lot. I love helping out the San Diego Latino Film Festival, not only because we were part of it a few years back, but because it is a local festival. They take care of their artists I'm sad that you guys are going to get to miss out on the like Sabor Latino and the other stuff that happens because
we're so excited for that, dude.
I was so excited too.
We're like a week away, and then they canceled or something like that.
I know.
But Shelly, how did you feel when you sort of because you're a veteran. We had Slapworthy in there a couple of years ago that you were in, but this is your film. This is something that you created. Tell us how you feel. Tell us a little bit about White Ink.
Well, I feel great. I feel excited. I share the opinions of my fellow filmmakers that it felt very sad when it got canceled in March and everything else that was happening, and then we didn't know what the hell was happening with the world. And now finally this is happening, and we get to enjoy other people's work and connect to other people, even though it's in a very different way. I was very excited when I got the email from the festival that we were an official selection. I think especially several things. One is Latino Festival. I'm Mexican, also from Tijuana, San Diego, that region. And woohoo! And also being in San Diego, and the fact that my beginnings in filmmaking started in San Diego. So it felt very, very much like a coming home sort of thing. And another reason that it was very exciting that it was a Latino festival was because at the beginning of sending in my film to different festivals, I got a lot of no's from specifically Latino festivals. Like all the other festivals will let us in, and all of them, but like some of them. But the Latino festivals especially were pushing back because it wasn't a Latino story. So White Ink, I'll tell you a little bit about the story. White Ink.
So it was written by Latinos. It had Latinos in it. It had you as one of the leads, but it wasn't Latino enough.
Yes. Yeah. So it
you
was
should have put
written
some
by
beats in
Latina.
there.
I know. It was written by a Latina, directed by a Latina. The lead is Latina. We shot the film in Tijuana. It wasn't Latino enough. And it's because of the story. The story is following this, girl and a relationship that she has with her best friend. And it touches upon themes of like love and friendship and a little like LGBTQ, all these things. But it's not talking about migration or like specific things that we consider Latino topics. So suddenly it wasn't a Latino film. It was very interesting to me that even though it feels to me very much like a Latino film because I am Latina and, I'm involved in it and we're just, the entire team, half of the time that we were shooting, everything was in Spanish because we were shooting in Mexico. So it felt kind of sad at the beginning. And then we had the email from San Diego Latino Film Festival, which felt kind of reassuring that the work was being recognized and especially being work that was put together mainly by Latinos. So yeah, I was very excited. I was very grateful to be here. I'm excited for the entire experience.
I obviously relate because sometimes and it's good that we have both types of movies represented here opening day, in that your film is just a film not necessarily about the Latino experience, but created by a Latin cast crew, etc. Whereas we have a film like Pedro that is very specific about a specific Latino experience. Karolina's that is very specifically about a something that's been part of Latino culture for thousands of years. And then Fernanda's, which is, about it's taking a very specific regional type of music and also equating that with a very real problem that's happening through Latin America. As somebody who dealt with that when our films were up, for example, I had a romantic comedy that you were in that even though it was written, directed, edited, shot by starring Latinos, it still wasn't necessarily, I tried to throw some elements in there to do that, but we write comedies. We make stuff to make people laugh. We don't necessarily make what are called important films, but I also feel that it's important to laugh. So the fact that this is a festival And Ethan, when he accepted us, said, I want to amplify all kinds of different Latino voices. And your film doesn't necessarily fit the stereotype of a movie that would be like entered into in a Latino film festival, but it is something that's funny. It's a comedy. It's a Latin film. So I was very appreciative of Ethan and the whole festival and how they treated us. So I commiserate with you there. What was kind of like Fernanda? Because obviously there's some really cool shots. I specifically like the very last shot of the video. We won't spoil it from anybody, which is this whole buildup about, build a wall and all this stuff. And that, and like, just the way that hit at the end, I was like, damn, that's cool. What was the amount of footage that you had to scrub through to get to that tight 5 minutes? Because I can imagine, that there must have been a ton of. Did you guys go through that yourself? Did you guys have like an editor trim some of that before you got it, and then you made some tough decisions, or how was that process?
Oh man, it was a process, and it's weird because my process. I'm very I'm impatient. I don't have I really admire filmmakers. I admire you guys because it's so much patience. I'm a musician. I want things done tomorrow. So that's why I think I direct music videos, because it's oh, I have an idea. Let's just shoot it 2 days, boom, out, right? And this one was just the opposite, So Gaba from Border Angels, she had different people that shot, because they actually traveled with the caravan. So they had really beautiful shots, and you feel you are with them. So they actually first did the first round of editing, and then sent us a bunch of images. And I talked to the guy that edited, just to tell him, I want to show the hopes and dreams of these people. That's what I want to show. So from there, he did a cut, but we went back and forth, and we worked on the storyline was just how they traveled from Central America till the wall. So that's what I had in my head, that storyline, and how to show hopes and dreams. And it was a lot of back and forth.
The thing I found striking is how the scope of the trip being on, and I forget what they call that big ass trip. La Bestia. How it felt like an adventure, but it also felt like the footage that you showed, the faces and the smiles and the sort of communication all resonated as happy and positive. These people were on a treacherous, dangerous, possibly fatal, based on statistics, journey. Not necessarily guaranteed anything when they got there, and they still sort of kept this attitude and this positivity in the middle of that crisis. So I really think that you were able to capture a very specific sort of feeling of hope, like you said, in that video. So, I think you guys are going to be, everybody is going to be very surprised when you watch it, because if you think, oh, it's a corrido about the caravans, you almost feel like, oh, this is going to be like a traditional corrido, but it really did so. So kudos to you.
Thank you so much.
And I think that Juan from the festival is going to be joining us here in a minute, but I do want to remind everybody that the Migrant Voices Challenge is going to be screening live virtually on September 22nd. Go to sdlatinofilm.com. I'll make sure that I have a banner with the link here in a second. But if you just look up San Diego Latino Film Festival, you'll be able to buy passes. You can buy 5 passes. You can buy 10 passes to watch a lot of films. Like I said, I've been watching a lot already, and they are very, very good. One last question for you, Fernanda, or one other question for you regarding specifically the journey of some of these people. Obviously, a lot of the stuff that's come out recently about people in detention center is horrific. And, to the point where I really haven't wanted to comment or kind of speak on it, because I know I'm going to get angry and I kind of want everything to come out first before I really formulate my thoughts on it. But do you think that possibly some of the people in that journey that you showed have been in some of these detention centers, and do you have any insight into, like, any either success stories or things that have happened to them after they arrived?
I have, like, personally, from that caravan, I know one person, just like personally, we're talking about millions of stories here. Like,
right.
Who knows where they are, it's, but I know this kid, he's 16 years old. He traveled with I don't remember if it was the first or the second caravan, the one that came into Mexico City, and like people greeted them with a big, like,
the first big one, I think it was.
Was it the first one?
Yeah.
So he came with them, and in Mexico City, I have a New Yorker friend, which I love, that adopted this kid, basically. And he's been in Mexico City since then. And actually today or yesterday, she helped him to get settled in Mexico City. His dream was to come to the US. But I was born and raised in Mexico City. I lived in California for a long time. And before COVID, I was bouncing back and forth. But I was like, if you have a community in Mexico City, and he actually just started a job in one of the top restaurants of the city. I'm like, stay here, homie. Like, you have a community, you have like a job in this fantastic restaurant, and he's staying in Mexico City, which is a great place to be as well. We have our struggles too, and we have a whole different set of dramas, because there's drama all over the world. But that's my success story, and he's an adorable kid from Honduras.
Well, obviously, in the middle of what is some, horrific news coming out from detention centers and stuff like that, it's good to know that at least, number one, you guys are putting stories out there about the experience of migrants everywhere, different experiences, different things that are important to us, but also that we are keeping that these stories don't go away. So just, there's been kids in cages for the last 5 years, so it's not something that's new. I do want to catch up on our comments here, and then also bring one other person into the stream in a second. Give me 1 second here. Cesar Garcia, all you filmmakers are so inspiring. Thank you for telling your stories. Can't wait to see them all. Cesar, if you don't have tickets, stick around. I might be able to give some away in a little bit, so you can pick 2 movies to watch for free. Patricia Orban says, Fer Ulibarri Bravo. I don't know.
That's my mom.
Hey, there you go. Hey, moms. Thank you for the moms that are tuning in. All right, there we go. And then Ethan says, thank you all for participating in our virtual edition of San Diego Latino Film Festival. No, Ethan, thank you. Thank you, Ethan, for being kind of a person that created this a long time ago, and it's still going on strong. And then we have one other comment from Silvia Rocha. Felicidades a todos los talentosos jóvenes latinos, especialmente mi hermosa Karolina E.
My mom too.
Yay, Mexican moms.
Where's my mom?
Can we get a mom check? I think my mom is watching somewhere. All right. So I'm going to bring on one of the curators and people responsible for a lot of the work behind the scenes of the San Diego Latino Film Festival 27th edition. The man, the myth, the legend, Juan López. What is up, Juan? How you doing today?
Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Hi, good, Juan.
You?
Have you been getting your rest? Have you been getting your rest in preparation for the madness? Have you been getting your rest in preparation for all the madness?
Here and there. Preparing for the madness. It's a different kind of madness this year, but madness altogether, I think.
When I spoke with Miguel about Horrible Imaginings a few weeks back, we talked about some of the differences. Obviously, sometimes when I talk to filmmakers, I tell them that there's, to be cautious with the money that you spend on film festivals, because some film festivals are virtual only. This was before COVID, or they don't even have screenings, or it's like, just a backdrop and an award show with no screening and stuff like that. Now, a lot of major legitimate film festivals have gone virtual for this year. What was the biggest change and kind of thing that you had to adjust your thinking on when switching to a virtual festival? Obviously, you guys were right about to go live. You already had theaters, tickets sold in March. What was the biggest change for you guys?
Well, honestly, it's coming to terms to it. I think was the first big change. Like you said, we canceled the festival on the morning of that it was supposed to open. So at first we were hoping that maybe this was all gonna be over in like 2 to 3 months. Maybe find a date somewhere in the summer to host the festival, and the weeks just kept coming by and passing by, and yeah, it just seemed like it was gonna get extended longer and longer. So luckily, one of the good things is we had all the content already. we had all the content, we had all the filmmakers ready, and then it was just kind of getting in touch with them again and seeing if we could play that content. Because sometimes, I don't know, maybe a filmmaker will pick up distribution between then and March, and they can't play somewhere. They can't play it anywhere at a festival. Or I had a couple filmmakers that their stuff is they got distribution deals to play like on HBO, like on HBO Max, so they can only play like on live locations where there's audiences, but not anywhere online. So I guess it was maybe content availability was the second big challenge afterwards.
What if any are the limitations of the festival, in as much as when people purchase tickets, are they purchasing the ability to start and stop a movie, or are these movies available during the screening time only? How are you guys handling that?
So yeah, that's another thing. We're trying to keep it as of a festival experience as possible. So every film has like its set designated time. Kind of give it that exclusivity also. So, excuse me, let's say for example a movie plays on tomorrow at 5 p.m. You're only available to rent it for 3 hours, so from 5 to 8. And once you hit play for the first time, you have like 24 hours to finish it. Okay. But you do have to start the film within that time frame. So I guess that's I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, so you start the film. If for some reason you get pulled away, you still got 24 hours to go back and finish it. But you need to at least commit to being available during that time frame to start watching it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's one. I guess that's a new thing, right? At the festival, when you go to a festival, when you go to a movie, you're like, all right, it's only playing at this time, so I have to get on my car, drive over there, make enough time to find parking and watch it. But one of the convenient things is you don't have to do that. But also, I think when it comes to like stuff at home, you kind of like think, oh, I can watch it at any time. I don't have to watch it right now. And then sometimes that time frame passes. I don't know, like a film you want to watch leaves whatever streaming site you're watching or something like that. But to kind of avoid that, like we set up that specific time frame for each film in each showing.
So you kind of kept the exclusivity of a festival in terms of when films start, but you're also not being completely stubborn, in as much as if somebody pays for the movie and they show up on time to watch it, they hit play, but life happens, they get pulled away for something, you're not going to negate the ability for them to just kind of finish watching that later, right?
Exactly, yeah. So we do recommend watching it and finish it in its time frame that it's supposed to be, because a lot of the films are gonna have Q&As right afterwards. So
I heard you got some real talented people doing the Q&As.
we do. As present company included right here. But yeah, so the Q&A, most of the Q&As are gonna be live. There are a few that are maybe will be pre-recorded just because of logistical issues. Maybe a filmmaker will be in Europe, and maybe there's our 6 p.m. is like 4 o'clock in the morning for them, or 3 o'clock, so it's not convenient. But
so we're talking a little bit about the Migrant Voices challenges here with Karolina, Pedro, Fernanda, about a very specific genre of movies that is a collaboration between the festival and the Union Tribune, etc. White Ink, I believe, is that part of the
Somos LGBT.
Somos, okay, I didn't. What isn't it? That used to be Un Mundo Gay, right? Or was that previous?
That used to be Cine Gay.
Cine Gay, okay, but now it's okay.
That was the name. But yeah, the name changed. I want to say 2-3 years ago to Somos LGBT Cine, LGBTQ plus Cine.
Besides these two brackets, obviously, there's also the Frontera Filmmakers Showcase, which is a lot of the local filmmakers from San Diego and Tijuana. Which is your favorite block of movies that you helped curate? What are some of your favorite films that people should be on the lookout for?
Well, I curated the shorts, and one of the cool things now that you bring up Frontera Filmmakers this year is the amount of Frontera films, like those are film. Our Frontera Filmmakers program is all filmmakers filmmakers or films made in the U.S. in the San Diego Tijuana region, and we had so much great content that we actually split it up into 2 programs. One of the narrative films and one documentary, and there was actually 2 programs. Now that I think about it, we also had like two sports films that they're each like 30-minute shorts. One on extreme wrestling, and the other one on Mexican football here in the Baja region. Sorry, American football in the Baja region. So we split it into 3 programs, and there was still a good amount of content that got left out. And I think it speaks volumes on like how the scene is growing here in San Diego and Tijuana. There's more films being made. There's more talented filmmakers being exposed to each other's work, and there's really a collaborative process that has been happening in the last few years. But apart from those, also one of the programs that we split up is the Hecho en USA program, which is all U.S. Latino filmmakers, U.S. Latino films, and that one's also split into documentaries and narratives. Again, usually we just have one program for each of these, but I think it's important that we highlight U.S. Latino films and Latino filmmakers here, since usually when they speak about Latino film in the U.S., it's I don't know, maybe Iñárritu or Lucrecia Martel or Latin American filmmakers. They never speak on the actual filmmakers that come out and are grown here in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you take out the foreign Latino filmmakers, I mean, who's that left with? Robert Rodriguez? I mean, me? I'm just kidding. When you guys are curating a festival like this, Juan, I know one of the things that I admire about Miguel is how deeply he feels about each film that he accepts and he doesn't. Can you just talk a little bit about kind of your selection process in regards to finding films not only that are good enough to be in the festival, but that fit into one of the sort of blocks or themes of the festival as you sort of come up with it each year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we usually try to hit like certain programs that we know people really enjoy, like the Somos, like you said, Frontera Filmmakers, Hecho in USA. But a lot of the themes inside of these programs differ year by year. The stories switch up a little, but yeah, we're always looking for that film that feels a little different, right? From the rest, and you know, it's crazy to think that there's so much of these films that get made every year, and they still don't find, they still never get seen. Because I mean, there's a lot of films that were rejected at this festival that I would have been like, wow, like I would have loved to have screened that for an audience, but it's just time limits to everything. This year we actually had a lot of films. I think we had just over 200, including feature shorts, Migrant Voices, and then our Tu Cine, which are youth film. So I don't think I've been curating for, I want to say this is my 5th or 6th year, and I don't think we have had that many films. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to say what I can't tell you. I mean, I can't tell you right now what I'm looking for in each film because, like I said, there's so many. But yeah, we always try to look for the ones that stand out a little more. For the most part.
All right, and then let's get a light check here. If you are watching this video, let's remind you that tomorrow, the 27th edition of the San Diego Latino Film Festival, one of the iconic Latino film festivals in the entire universe, kicks off. There are films from all over the world. Juan, Moises, and Ethan grind over this, curation of this event every year. Obviously, Hispanic Heritage Month, for some reason, starts in the middle of September. I don't know why. Do we only get the 2 weeks? Does it carry over into October? What's the deal with that? Who decided Hispanic Heritage Month should start on September 16th? I don't know. And also make sure if you are watching the stream, you drop us a like. If you have a question for any of these filmmakers that are involved in the festival this year, leave a comment. Let's get some mom questions in here. The moms that are watching, when did you know that your children were going to grow up to be filmmakers? Come on, can you guys answer that one for me? When did you know? When did you know this kid's gonna make movies? Let me catch up on the comments here. Here we go. Patricia says bravo todos. Here we go. We got another one from somebody says hello. Trifulca Pro. Got it. And they also say we have a feature film documentary on Documented, Unafraid, Undocumentado Sin Miedo del director Arturo Pulido Garcia, production. I'm wondering, I'm assuming, Juan, is that one of the films mentioned, or are they just promoting something outside of the festival there? That one.
No, that's a feature film from Arturo Pulido. Yeah, right there. Jane has had some. She's produced some of the shorts that played before from Frontera Filmmakers.
All right, so as we wait for the mom comments and questions to come in, let me ask some of the filmmakers that specific question, which is, I know for myself, I recognize from an early age, maybe 10, 12, I've been practicing my Oscar speech since I was like 15 in front of a mirror, but I've always known that I wanted to tell stories. When did you guys specifically catch the bug about either creating, making films? When did that start for you? Let's start with Pedro.
Well, it's a good question. I didn't realize it until like I was a senior in high school. Like I didn't know I wanted to be a filmmaker. I just knew I had like a lot of imagination growing up in Mexico, because I grew up in Mexico since I was born until like I was 11 years old. And I didn't have a lot of resources, to be honest with you, to be able to think I was going to be a filmmaker. It was basically like a little kid with a bunch of imagination. I would play with the little toys that I had, and I would just imagine stories, and I would always do that with my friends. But I never had a camera. I never had anything like that until I got to the U.S. and went through the whole immigration struggle until I learned the language, and I was senior in high school, and I took a class that it was editing. I think it's called Multimedia 3-4 or something. And I was editing, and our senior project was to do a senior video, which we had to shoot a video about the senior class, and we'll edit it. And that's how I found out. I was like, oh, I could put 2 and 2 together. I could tell stories while I could, shoot them and edit. And then after that, after high school, I took a couple of classes in college. I dropped out because I couldn't afford it. So I started working my ass off. And then I just continued writing, and I started learning about writing, and that's how I ended up doing it. And now I'm a full-time filmmaker, and that's basically what I do for a living. Work in production here in Arizona, and I try to do projects here and there, and I'm moving on to my next project in next month, even with this COVID situation. And I'm just looking forward to keep doing it until I die, I guess.
There you go. That's commitment for you. Shelly, you started off on the opposite end of the camera. Obviously, I know you as a producer and an actress, but when you started, I noticed you trying to get a little bit into my lane there, directing and producing. I don't know if I have to push you back, but is there any chance of you leaving the acting behind for a director thing, or come on, tell me what's going on here?
Nope. No, I directed a music video about 2 months ago, which was very interesting during the COVID world, but it went really well. Love the experience, love directing. It was great, but no, as a director on set, no one wanted to tell me anything because they didn't want it to freak me out. And I like producing because I get to know everything. So no, producing is my main thing. I love hiring people, making teams, dealing with egos, that's my stuff. But acting is the great love of my life since I was very, very, very young. So no, I think acting is my number one, and then producing is 0.9999. So no, I'm not directing, Lou. You can keep directing. You can keep directing.
You're crowding my lane a little bit there. I don't want to have to get for jobs too. You know what I'm saying? Karolina, what came first for you as an artist? Is it the creating words, the poetry, or the love of making the movie? Tell us a little bit about your how you started.
Well, I've always been an artist of some sort. Ever since I was little, I would either be singing or just drawing, and there's one of my paintings over here. So I've always been very visual oriented, and then I discovered acting. So we're connected in that regard. So I was oh, I want to be an actor. And also, I saw Kate Winslet winning the Oscar in 2009. I was crying because I was I want to do that too, But then I guess I realized that the industry is not that easy for Latina actresses and Latino actors in general. So I was you know what? It's gonna be so difficult for me to get a gig as an actress. So maybe I want to be the one giving people gigs, and being the one that's let me give you a role. You get a role. You get a role. So yeah, that's kind of why I decided to go more on behind the camera. I still do acting every now and then. But yeah, I'm mainly focusing on writing and directing. So yeah, that's kind of how I came to be with film. But at the same time, I know it's a long story, but my mom, who's in the comments, and she's not responding because she doesn't really speak English.
Right.
But she was doing her bachelor's when I was growing up, and for some reason they made her watch a lot of movies about psychology and psychological thrillers, and some that I'm ooh, I was not, I was too young to be watching that, but I was watching it. So that kind of also was I was always very interested in storytelling in film. So yeah, that's me.
So you have more stories that you want to tell, right?
A lot.
All right, and then for Fernanda, what came first for you in terms of, obviously you have more of a musical background, but so did those things all coincide at the same time in terms of music and art, and I know the filmmaking came a little bit later, right? Or were you always an artist?
I I mean, I've been doing music forever, like since I'm 6, I think. And then like I started getting more, like I guess my attraction to stories was through theater, and I did some of that. But I think I started doing films and music videos out of necessity. Like that short film I did, I was actually trying to get a friend filmmaker to help me out, but everybody was too busy, so I had to do it. Same thing with my music videos. Like I realized, like at the beginning, I was like working with directors, but then ideas would come, and as I said, I'm very impatient, so I'm like, I'll just do it. So I think it just that came naturally, but it did came like late, for sure. But I mean, I'm a creative person, and that's what I do also for a living. And yeah, I want to like create new formats, break the norm.
What Juan, what about you? I know we've spoken before about how you became involved with the festival, but do you because I mean, are you at heart a filmmaker, or are you at heart somebody who loves film and loves to sort of amplify other voices?
Definitely the latter. Yeah, I started. I've always loved film. I always was interested in it. Once I stumbled into the Media Arts Center, which produces the San Diego Latino Film Festival, I actually was an intern there, and I just kind of started working there. But yeah, and slowly grew from one position to the other, and yeah, you saw what like the power that the festival has, like to power and like to kind of bring all these communities together for like it's crazy to sound that to think that like a little event can mean so much, that one film screening can like change someone's maybe how they think, how they feel about a subject, and I really enjoy the fact that like I saw filmmakers and like have their interactions with audiences, and when and the audiences express that love when they see a filmmaker, and I was like, wow, I wanna help bring this, like with this bridge. I wanna help bring these filmmakers with these audiences as much as possible. So yeah, that's definitely that I'm not a filmmaker. So to put it shortly, I leave that for you guys who are a lot more talented.
There's nothing wrong with that, man. I mean, you're one of the people that curate one of the most important Latino film festivals in the country, at a time when obviously when we're being attacked from everywhere. We're being attacked internally. We're being attacked by the government that's supposed to protect us. We're being attacked by ignorant people that want to put us in a corner and tell us who we are and what our value is. So specifically now, during all the things that are happening, you guys are one of the groups that's out here as an advocate, promoting filmmakers. Like you said, it's an important first step for a lot of filmmakers. I know that being able to, I told this story when I was a part of the festival, but when I first moved to California, because I grew up in New York and previously in Colombia, and the first time I came to San Diego, I went to watch a movie with my mom at the Fashion Valley movie theater. That's the first place when I went to San Diego and I went to watch a movie. And the constant in my life through my parents' divorce was that I would always go watch movies with each parent. That would be the one thing. We would eat, as you can tell, and we would go watch movies. So the first time I watched the movie in San Diego with my mom was at the Fashion Valley AMC. And like 15 years later, a movie I wrote and directed was screening in the same exact theater where I watched that movie when I first moved to San Diego. And I had my mom there, and I had my like 87-year-old dad there with me on the red carpet, and I got to do a Q&A. And watch my film and get a real reaction from an audience, which is something that obviously you guys are missing. But still, the fact that it is part of a prestigious festival really sort of gave me some legitimacy as a film festival. I mean, as a filmmaker, and it's something that I'm never going to be, jaded about, So I appreciate you and Ethan and Moises and everybody that makes that festival work, and you guys do an incredible amount for us. So just
thank you so much. No,
thank you.
We wouldn't be here without you guys. Without content, we don't have a festival, guys. So, you guys got to keep pumping it out as much as possible.
I know you got a lot of stuff to do, Juan, so I'll let you go because I know you got a lot of festival. But leave us with a couple of is this the right? Make sure this is where people can get tickets, right?
Yeah, if you go to sslatino.com, here you'll be connected to our Eventive site, and in which you can buy passes. You can check out the schedule. You can create watch lists for yourself. If you have enough time, you can make a whole schedule for the whole week. I know a lot of our attendees like to do that with the booklet. Sometimes you see it in the open. They have it's literally like a crazy maze of scheduling that they do, full of highlights and arrows on where they're gonna go with a map of the screens. But yeah, so you're more than welcome to do that. But yeah, we're again, a lot of the films are gonna have Q&As right afterwards. We recommend watching the films on time so that you can join the live Q&A and ask questions yourself to any of these awesome filmmakers. We hope you guys enjoy it, and thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Well, we're gonna let Juan go because I know he needs to get at least one good night's rest because he's not guaranteed one for the next 2 weeks. So thank you for joining me, Juan.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
All right,
have a good one, guys.
Take it easy. All right. Now that he's gone, I'm just kidding. Can you guys tell me about any of your okay. Fernanda, you think you have to go too?
I have to go soon. Yes.
No, that's fine.
Not right now, but soon.
Okay, not a problem. Can you guys tell me just a little bit about your influences as filmmakers in terms of we can do a quick fire round. Okay, let's start off with what is the first movie you remember seeing in a movie theater? Let's start off with Karolina.
Jurassic Park, and I fell asleep.
Okay, all right. I'm not talking to you anymore. Bye. All right, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, how about Shelly?
The first movie that I remember seeing in a movie theater was The Land Before Time, which was cartoons. But the first movie that I saw 12 times in the movie theater is Titanic.
12 times?
12 times. I was obsessed. I think it was 11, and it was the first time that I fell in love with a character on screen. Because I started liking boys. It was like, oh my God, he's so cute. And then it just became this, I have to go back because I love going through the motions of the love story and feeling like I was the one falling in love. It was very, yeah.
I'm only going to tell you this because you bring that up, but when that movie came out, I saw it once with my mom and this lady, Buffy, that she would take care of, that we would watch movies together a lot. Then I watched it once with a girl I was dating, and then there was another girl I was talking to that wanted to watch that movie too, so I had to sit through it 3 times within a 2-week period.
With 2 hours.
Yeah, with my mom, with my girlfriend, and with the side chick. So it was a big. I don't do that anymore. That was just I was young and impressionable back then.
Oh my God!
I thought I had it bad. You watched it 9 more times than I did.
With a smile on my face.
How about you, Pedro?
Well, my first, I don't know if I consider the real movie theater, but in Mexico there was when I was a little boy, there used to be mobile movie theaters that would come into the towns. They called Cine Húngaros, and they would show up and they would announce it to the whole street for for 2 days that this movie is going to be playing. So my first movie was Street Fighters back in the 90s, and it was in this Húngaro movie theater, And then, but my real movie theater experience here in the U.S. was Anaconda. Yeah, with Jennifer Lopez and Ice Cube and all that. But it wasn't the type of movie that would get me inspired to make movies, to be honest with you. But the real influence had to be a golden era of Mexico cinema with Pedro Infante, Jorge Negrete, Cantinflas. You're talking about all that, but I couldn't see any of those in the movie theaters, obviously, but because it was way before my time. But I grew up with all that in Mexico, and even the adult films from the 80s and the action films from the 80s, you know, the Sylvester Stallones and all those films. But basically what my passion comes from is from Mexican cinema from the 50s and even the 80s with like Los Verduleros and stuff like that. Me growing up with all kinds of movies, you know. So that's basically where it came from. And then later in life, I started getting deep into the spaghetti westerns and going back to the classics, you know, when it comes to the American cinema, even French cinema, Italian, you know, you name it. So that's where I'm at.
How about you, Fernanda? What was the first film you saw?
The first film I saw in a theater, ¿cómo se dice en inglés el llanero solitario?
The Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger. I remember. I was probably like, young, 3, 2.
Oh,
But I remember like just being blown away.
yeah. Mine was E.T. So you can kind of imagine how old that is. All right, Karolina, what was the first movie that you actually stayed awake through? Give her an idea.
That I actually stayed awake. Honestly, I have this like memory of me going to, this is not an ad or anything, but going to Cinépolis in Plaza Rio in Tijuana and going to watch Harry Potter. The first one. The very first one. And I remember it was packed. And I was like, I don't know, I was like helping my uncle find someone, and it was like crazy. And I was just really excited about the popcorn. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, but I remember watching it and staying awake.
That shows how young you are, by the way.
Hey, we don't disagree. What's another movie that you can watch over and over now?
Now? Well, I recently watched Shrek 2. And I just want to keep on watching it every day. It just makes me so happy. Especially the Latino dub. I think it's the best one.
Really?
Yeah.
I really like watching The Simpsons in Spanish because I can't.
The Simpsons in Spanish are the best.
Yes.
Like the best.
It's like the
The best thing ever, yeah, for sure.
Although I did see a meme the other day about somebody that was watching 8 Mile in Spanish, it's kind of a weird. It's kind of the freestyle battles do not translate as well. When you guys think of obviously you know, being Latino, Latinx in the United States right now, how do you feel a sense of obligation to keep creating or to create a certain type of projects that puts us in a positive light? Because, you know, obviously it would be super easy for me to write a gangster story, you know, and I do have those in my repertoire in terms of like, you know, I do have ideas for movies of that type. But do you feel that you have like, I don't even know how to say it, but an obligation to the culture to sort of put a good foot forward in the movies that you put out? Shelly, I'll start with you.
I don't think for me is an obligation to necessarily just say, oh, I'm just going to put like happy, positive, kind of good characters on screen. I think more than anything, I keep saying the same thing over and over. I don't brush my teeth in the morning and think I'm brushing my teeth because I'm Latina. I'm eating breakfast because I'm Latina. So this idea that the things that a character or a human being does are 100% connected to their heritage is very strange to me, because Latinos, I mean, if you think about Latin America, all the different countries, all like people, we're so different and so diverse that I think my main thing is creating stories, human stories, but yes, pushing for female representation, Latino representation, both on screen and behind the scenes. I think that's my thing, because if the story is human, then I can leave the characters like gender neutral, and I can in ethnicity the same thing. And then when you cast based on who has the essence of the character, and not necessarily what they look like or who their parents or grandparents are. I think that's my main kind of thing.
So you don't wash your teeth with hot sauce?
Well, sometimes, and a little bit of lemon.
You don't use tagine instead of toothpaste for your teeth brushing?
Little
Fernanda.
parentheses. I have to go, guys, but
No,
thank you so much for having me. And I'm excited about seeing your work on Tuesday.
Likewise.
Okay, and then your film is La Corrida de la Caravana, right?
El Corrido de la Caravana.
El Corrido de la Caravana for the Migrant Voices Challenge.
The Mexican stand-up, yeah.
It's a very interesting video. I love that final shot. I'm not going to spoil it for everybody, but there's a really cool, like, last little bit at the end of it that just kind of gives you like a nice little like, huh. And I really enjoyed the film, so I'm excited to watch it, and everybody should. All right.
Thank you so much.
Fernanda.
Gracias. Nos vemos martes. Adiós.
Hasta luego.
Adiós.
All right. Now that she's gone. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Fernando. Go ahead, Pedro. Sorry.
So with that same subject of like what is the right film to do and in our obligation as filmmakers, I've been stuck with that conflict for a while, because I feel like Latinos in the US, we always tell the suffering story of the immigrant. And I feel like we kind of need to stay away from that and show people that we're not the victim, that we're also the bad guy sometimes, even if it's scary to show that, and we have to. And then like and try to tell stories that are not based about cartels or inmigración. We have to step away from that and really focus on the stories. Show people other stories than just being oppressed by the cartel, or being the cartel, or being the immigrant, or being the cholo. Try to stay away from all that. I mean, I'm guilty for doing it. I've done it. I do it all the time, because it's something that we resonate with, and it's we associate ourselves with sometimes. But for instance, the next one I'm doing is about a bullfighter struggling to continue bullfighting in Mexico City. So I kind of like wanted to stay away from have him get involved with the cartel because he needs to bullfight. No, none of that. It's like I feel like it's on our obligation to inform people also, kind of like what back home is. When you see it, it's basically showing people what a person like me went through, and and it shows it in the story. But I feel like it's an obligation to also show, but without victimizing ourselves in the process. I think we have to like move on from that. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Karolina. I'm going to cut you off.
I wanted to add also that I think for me it's important to show how complex the Latino experience is, and how intersectionality plays a big aspect in like so many identities, right? So I think it's important to recognize all the different experiences. In that regard, I also kind of struggle the same as Pedro, like struggle with that, like, do I have a right to tell a story of something that I'm not, that I haven't experienced? Can I tell a story about someone that has gone through this like thing that I haven't? And of course, like Pedro mentioned about resonating with certain stories. And of course, like if we're immigrants, of course, we're going to tell stories that are familiar to us, that are close to us, and to me, it's like, with Ode to the Beans, it was kind of like therapeutic, it was like that, like coming to terms with that and like recognizing it. So I think that's fine, but it's also, let's not make that our own like single story. Basically, that's not the only story of Latinos. We have like so many different things that we can talk about, and like everyone, we can talk not only about cartels and immigration, but we can talk about like Catholicism, and like maybe like some like dark stuff about the church, and like we can talk maybe about like bullfighting, of course, and like we can talk about machismo, and like so many different things. And I'm not saying only like bad things, but like also just overall like wonderful, complex, and very I don't know, diverse
things that make us real, things that makes us human. I think that's what we need to do. Humanity. We need to show humanity in the screen, and no matter how it is, if it hurts people, and if it makes them feel awkward, if you like it, if they laugh, we have to just show humanity in the screen, and that's what we need to focus on. You know, I mean, at least that's what I think.
Yeah, no, me too. I think humanizing Latinos, Hispanics, however you want to call them, call us. Humanizing people is very important because we keep showing up on the screen, like at least on the big, the ones that get a lot of distribution, like, they go everywhere. We keep on showing this like caricature of like cartoon of who we are. And it's very limiting. And the reality is that I agree, like we're so diverse. And the more that we tell stories that have nothing to do with those themes that have already been visited, the more human we seem, the more human we allow other people to see us, because we are. I mean, the majority of the time at least like I have friends that are going through issues that have to do with fertility. I have friends that have small kids and they're going through, divorce and, so many things that have nothing to do with any of those external topics that we usually gravitate towards as Latinos.
Absolutely. And then we have another comment here from Nancy Sanchez, who has fun talk, and she's wearing a mask in her profile picture. So good for you, Nancy. Thank you for watching the stream. Obviously, we are in a position as storytellers, but also representing the culture where we sort of have to toe these lines. I was going to ask Shelly as an actress, and give me a second to go check on my dad real quick to let you answer this. But when we've talked about, kind of the choosing the stories that we want to tell, in as much as we have the complete freedom to choose a variety of topics, both ones that are synonymous with Latino culture and ones that are just synonymous with just life of a human, right? Shared experiences. When you are choosing the parts that you take as an actress, how do you draw the distinction between needing to continue to work and maybe turning down, parts as a maid, parts as a, drug runner, just things like that would be, that you could completely go to LA and just make a career out of being like, the mom in a phone commercial and a maid, etc. Where is the line for you when you sort of when you're making those decisions as it affects you? Please answer that. I'm going to step away for 2 seconds, and if you guys want to chime in, please go ahead. Okay.
Yeah. For me, I think the first thing is the script. If it's a strong part, if it's a strong script, if it's a human being on the page, I don't think I have an issue with who they are or what's, but if the story is not there and it's pretty much bringing in this character either for diversity or, just telling this very shallow idea or cartoon idea of who a person should be, that's when I have an issue with it. I think for me, people that rep you have a lot to do with the kind of parts that you are going out for. And also, it's sad to say, but the reality is that my skin is lighter. So I get to do other kind of roles that make that I'm passable sometimes as white for certain parts. I'm passable as New Yorker, depending. Like there's things that I can do that I wouldn't be able to do if my skin was darker. That's just a given. So it's that, the people that rep me and they are looking for different opportunities. Also, I don't mind. I love playing characters, real, full, live characters that are Hispanic or Latino. Like I love that because I get to bring in a lot of other nuances and things that I know just, from who I am and how I grew up. But I think at the end of the day, for me, saying yes or saying no, and sometimes those no's are kind of, hard, as Lou said, because you want to keep working and you want the opportunities. But I think it comes from the page. If the bones of the character are there, you get to fill it in and it's great. But if there's nothing but just like we need some brown skin on screen with like a few lines in Spanish, I've gotten the proverbial, you don't look Mexican enough or you don't like Latina enough in auditions because I'm not darker, or can you do it with an accent? And I'm like, what do you mean an accent? Yeah, can you like do it with an accent? I'm like, I can, but do you need it? Like what? Like what? Yeah. So yeah, I think for me it's the page. It's the page,
you have to fight your battles. You know, like you really have to
Yeah.
like. Now you're in a position you should, even if you're not working, you have to really think about yourself and be like, am I comfortable doing this scene now? Am I comfortable playing this part? You know, is the script fun enough? Is the script important enough for me to like die for it? You know, that's what I tell like me as a writer director when I come to my DP, or even for a producer, when I come to a producer friend of mine, or my DP, my art director, like pretty much the whole team, I have to send them the script first before they accept to help me in this film. It's always been my rule, you know, like you really have to die for the script, like I'm willing to die for it, and they usually do, you know, because they believe in it and they really want to do it, and they put their 100% passion into it, and that makes it a better script. Same thing with the actors. I do the same thing. I do a casting. Once I like somebody, say I cast you for a role, I have to send you the script, and you have to accept the role. You're not taking my script because I just casted you for it. I need you to be passionate about it too, because otherwise you're not going to do good in the screen. You know.
Yeah, you need the buy-in from the actor. I would say that it's. I mean, I'm all for doing like fun, silly. I love like dystopian stuff. I love sci-fi. I'm okay with doing all of that as long as the characters are full. And I think aside from the Latino thing, I also come across the female characters. Because a lot of the female characters that are written out there, and Karolina, you won't let me lie, are just there to develop some weird hero story for a guy, and there's nothing of essence behind them. I love working with Lou, and Lou, I'm going to do a shout out to you, because the characters that he writes, he loves to improv and all this stuff, but when you see it on the page, you know that they're real humans, so you get to play around with them, even if it's like silly comedy or whatever we're doing. And it's not just someone that's there to like, please, I love you. Please
filler, just
me.
filler.
Yeah, come on. So yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for the shout out. I think that something funny happened during our Q&A at San Diego Latino Film Festival, where somebody was like, yeah, but blah blah blah, something like romantic comedy, and they were basically trying to give me shit about the character, and I was like, wait a minute, Rosa, like she doesn't go back to the dude, like she completely like just moves forward, like grows and stuff like that. Why are you giving me a shit? So, as somebody who is an admitted, somebody who benefited probably my entire life from being part of the patriarchy and is a reformed sexist, I had to learn how to value the support of and having strong women in my life, where Shelly can attest, the backbone of pretty much any one of our productions is 95% female. So as a filmmaker and as a human in the modern age, you have to kind of, even if that's how you were raised, even if that's how you grew up, even if that's everything you've seen on film, you have to, when you're sitting down to write, kind of, like I always say, to thine own self be true, realize what perspective you're coming from. Like Karolina said, are you allowed to write about somebody else's experience if you haven't been there? It's kind of like the conversation that's going on with acting, where it's like, oh, are you allowed to play this part if you haven't lived that? Are you allowed to write, about an experience? And my thing with filmmakers is always make the film that you want, but just think about the choices that you're making, and sort of be open when you're writing that, don't corner yourself into an ethnicity or a type for the character, where you're like, Joe Smith, white male, 32 to 42.
No, don't do it.
Maria, 18 to 24. She's gorgeous, but she doesn't realize it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's my favorite line on a breakdown. Yeah. Gorgeous, but doesn't realize it. Beautiful, but like wears a hoodie. Like there's just ridiculous things about characters. Yeah, I second that, Lou, and any writers listening out there. Write characters gender neutral. Just go through the stories, and if you happen to cast two women, two male characters, if you happen to have, cast a trans person with, someone that's, it does not matter, like, because the story itself you don't have to have certain things to tell a certain story. It's just the story, it's the heart, and we're all human. And you get to, when you put yourself in this box of thinking of, like, John Smith, like, white male, there are a lot of things that John Smith wouldn't say or do, that if you just write the characters as a story and then you cast them based on whoever, like, brings it in, it's just it's so much more interesting, and it works. It works because we're all human and we've all gone through things in life.
I wanted to ask you guys another question about current events, which is, it was interesting to me to see a lot of people, for lack of a better word, freaking the fuck out about the new Oscar diversity requirements for 2024.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people, I'm not going to say anything else about what type of people, were literally just like having Facebook meltdowns. Oh my God, I can't create my art anymore. This is the end of filmmaking. So that means if there's 4 white guys in my movie, I have to take one out and make them a woman, or make them an Asian guy. Like, it was hilariously frustrating for me to watch, because on one hand, I couldn't get deep into conversations with these people via comment section, because I was gonna piss myself off. I was gonna virtually punch somebody through the screen. And also, I sort of want to have this conversation on my podcast with people, so I don't really want to be like. So what I basically was just, I was making snide comments on people like, oh my God, this is so horrible. And then they would see me and they'd be like, oh, obviously this Latino guy doesn't think it's horrible. But you have an institution that for years and years and years is a very select group of people. The way you become an Oscar voter is somebody from inside the Oscar has to nominate you and try to, for membership, or you have to be nominated for or win an Oscar. So if this little organization keeps nominating people for Oscars every year, and then 99% of the people up for these awards are white, then what's going to get put into the voter pool is more white actors, more white producers, more white directors. No matter who you are, if you see a film, you might gravitate to those types of performances. You might gravitate to that. So for decades, the awards have gone to white people. The occasional foreigner, occasionally women, not a lot of women director nominations. Sofia Coppola should have like 6, maybe 3. So all these new regulations are saying is, okay, we've done it like this so far. We're actively trying to sort of amend our ways. So 30% of either cast or crew, right? The basics is like 30% of cast or crew needs to be either minority. There has to be a female. You have to have different types of characters.
It's so easy.
We've literally been doing this since day one of every movie I've ever made. That is not hard to do. No. It is not hard to make your movie with a little fucking diversity. Sorry about that.
No.
As I look up at my Diversity in Film Award, that's right there. So stop freaking the hell out, people. It's not that hard. All you need to do is think about the project that you're making, and just open yourself up to the possibility that you can try different people in different roles. It's not that hard, right?
That's one of the conversations I had with a friend like 2 days ago. We're talking about Marriage Story. I don't know if you've seen that Marriage Story. That could have easily worked with Latinos. And they could have easily worked with like Black actors, Asians.
They did have the Latino couple fighting in the courtroom. I'm just saying.
That's they threw the little drop of diversity in there.
But, representation matters.
Yeah, but even like that could have like easily worked with a Latino couple, and she could have been a theater actress, and he still could have been, an actress, and he could have still been a theater director, but Latino. I don't know. Will people watch it? I would. I will still watch it because I know the story is good.
Everyone
But I feel like
would.
people. But I feel like Hollywood is just too scared that the big monster in the closet that has been out for this past 4 years, like just came out because of Donald Trump, and now like, oh, everything's white, but we're trying to fight that now. But it is out of the closet. Everybody knows that there's people out there that you thought they weren't racist, and you're like, whoa, like he feels like that. Oh shit! But like maybe Hollywood is the same way. That's why the rules have been changing, and I'm glad it is, because it's just
Me too.
it's stressful, like you want to tell stories that are human stories that have a Latino face or a Black face in there, even Asian face.
Karolina, go ahead.
I wanted to say that when I saw the new guidelines that are going to be applied for the Academy Awards, my first thought honestly was like, what a good time to be alive and be a filmmaker. I was like, wow, this is what like having some privilege feels like. Wow, But at the same time, going on about like how white people feel about this, I think white people and I'm not white, of course, but I'm just like assuming maybe this is the way they think. And I also kind of like saw it on one of my classes in college about how white people are kind of like this blank canvas where we can like project whatever you are, wherever you come from, like you can be represented in a white person kind of thing. And like you can identify yourself with a white person. And it's like, no, it's not that. And when you look at, I don't know if you've ever seen the Marlon Brando's acceptance speech where he didn't go and he sent a Native American woman, Little Feather. She was an actress, and people were like standing up and like just yelling at her to get the fuck out, and it was just like terrible. And I mean, that was maybe like 40 years ago. And
not a long time ago, you weren't even allowed to play a Latino. You just had a little shoe polish on your face. That was the Mexican, right? Didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, Karolina.
No, don't worry. So I mean, if they're like feeling bad about it, boo-hoo. I'm sorry. But this is the new world that we live in, and you gotta, keep it up, baby. And that's it. I'm just happy that I'm a Latina filmmaker, and that I'm gonna be, that hopefully this is gonna be allocating more resources and opportunities to filmmakers so that our voices and our stories can be told. And I'm just like clap, clap, clap. Honestly.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you. That's a great take. I also like when I saw that, I was like, I literally do not have to change a single thing about how I make movies.
They're not that hard.
I don't have to. We've been already doing that for like 7 years. So since I started making movies. So I literally have to change. And if you really have to change that much about your filmmaking process, and you feel that your art is being subjected to these draconian, there's like, I literally saw somebody, it just seems like an overcorrection to a system that isn't even broken. And if you really can think those words and type them out and say that you don't think it's broken, then you need to seriously evaluate. And honestly, every single piece of content that I made geared towards filmmakers, I've always said this exact same thing, and is make whatever the fuck film you want. At the end of the day, it is your art, it is your project, it is your name that says written and directed by, in my case. Everything, so it is your art. At the end of the day, put whoever you want in your movie. All this is saying is that if you want to qualify for the Oscars, these are the guys.
Now you got an opportunity, and now you just need to be noticed. That's it.
These are the guidelines. That's it. That's it. And if you have to change that much,
Lou, they're not that hard. They're saying diversity is anything but a white man.
Yeah, it's really
like
like
a white straight man. Like that's the only.
Freak Out was just funny to me.
So it's and you don't need like to hit I think it's 5 of them. You don't need to hit 5. You only have to have a few. Like it's really like if you have a team, the marketing team has those people in the marketing team. That is considered part of like the qualifying, because that's also another area where we lack representation in the way that we sell films and we promote films. It's not that hard. I also saw a lot of people freaking out. To me, it's just whatever.
Yeah, I had to toe a line because I want one of these filmmakers that is pissed off to come on my stream one day. And I even put it on somebody's post. I was like, I'm not trying to do gotcha journalism. All I'm going to do is let you repeat your opinion over and over until you realize how stupid it sounds. And I didn't get a lot of response there. We have a couple of more comments here. We have a couple more comments here. Cesar Garcia says, "Man, hermana, make movies your way with your voice, absolutely." And then another here from Cesar saying, "You're artists. It's our job to tell human stories, regardless of people's opinions. If you have strong feelings about your art, then you are doing your job right." And like I said, if somebody really thinks that the story that they are going to tell needs to have 4 white male leads, then go ahead.
Yeah.
That's Cesar. He's the producer and the main actor for Back Home, by the way, Cesar Garcia.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Cesar, I was watching you act today. He did an excellent job.
Yeah, that's him. He looks different because I made him look different. He was too pretty for it. I was like, cut your hair if you want to act on it, and he did. So, but guys, I have to go. I'm gonna.
No, that's fine. We've been doing an hour 45.
So you can follow me on Instagram if you guys like and continue conversating. I'm always open for a conversation.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up soon with Shelly Karolina, but thank you for joining us, Pedro. Your movie is called
Back Home.
Back Home, and it is part of the Migrant Voices Challenge on what are we talking about? September 22nd, right?
Mm-hmm.
September 22nd. Everybody go to sdlatinofilm.com to buy tickets. I'm also allowed to give away several tickets. So I'm going to go ahead and pick some people at the end of the stream that have commented and participated a lot, and I'm going to reach out to them so that you guys can watch either the Migrant Voices Challenge or you can watch Shelly's movie, White Ink, or any other films that are going to be part of the festival. So thank you for being on the stream, Pedro. I'll be connecting with you soon, and thanks for joining us.
Anytime. Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
All right, guys. So, I mean, we've been doing this for an hour 45, so I don't want to take up the rest of your guys' night. But let's obviously we've talked a little bit about everything, the films, the process as a filmmaker, acting, etc. Karolina, what are you most excited about as being a part of this festival? What is have you been a part of festivals before? Is this your first major one? What are your thoughts kind of on the eve of this?
Honestly, this is my very first festival.
Okay.
Yay!
I am a super newbie. I was so excited because last year I was like, okay, these are my when you eat the grapes on New Year's Eve and you're like, all right, these are all my goals. And I remember being like, I want to be on a film festival. So I did get in, and actually I got Oda de los Frijoles. Thankfully, got into so far 4 more festivals.
Congratulations.
So I was successful in completing at least one of my New Year's Eve resolutions. So I was really excited, and in fact, I was living in the Bay Area when I had the notification. Well, in fact, if I'm being honest with you, I was in my bed, just kind of on my phone, and I was watching the live they were doing to announce the finalists for the Migrant Voices Challenge, and I was just kind of I'm probably not gonna get in. It's okay. And Oda de los Frijoles was the last one they mentioned, and the person that was reading the names, they couldn't really read Oda de los Frijoles, so they were oh, to the beans, and I was what? And so I was just really excited, and I had to rewatch it 3 times. They did say my name, right? And I even asked my partner. I was they say the movie, right? And he was yeah. I was okay. So yay. So I was really excited, honestly. I mean, I'm bummed out that it has to be virtual, but it's okay. It's 2020. I mean, maybe in the next years, I'll be back in the San Diego Latino Film Festival, so it's okay.
All right. And then that's an awesome story. Did you do a happy dance when that happened, or did you run around the room? Did you do the thing where you got up excited but then you slammed your toe against something, or what was it like?
Who, me?
Yeah, when you found out.
I was just in bed. I was
just general Brian. I thought maybe you got up, jumped around, slammed into a door or something, started.
No. I was just because it was late at night. It was 9, so I was I need to go to work the next day. So it was just but yeah, I mean, I should have made a happy dance next time.
Well, you had 4 other opportunities for the other festivals. Yeah. But there's nothing like the first time you get admitted into a major established
And the fact that it was the one from San Diego, where I grew up in Chula Vista. I mean, it's like, oh, so we just really.
Shelly's old hat because White Ink has gotten into how many festivals so far?
9.
Wow.
What's the furthest one? What's the furthest one? You get into France or something, like, right?
Yeah, in Nice, in France. Yeah.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. You know what, Karolina, you're never gonna lose that. I know it's not. There's nothing like the first one, but every time that I don't know. Don't lose it. Don't get jaded. It feels great, and appreciate the magic of all of it. I love it. I'm still super excited, like a little girl, for the next few days. Because I get to watch films. Yeah.
I know. Wait, can we watch them? Like all the other ones?
Well, I think if you guys are filmmakers, part of being an artist is getting, and I've gotten some access to the behind the scenes, so I think you guys will get a login and stuff so that you can go in and watch the other movies. So
yeah,
watching this whole 2 weeks.
I definitely expect you guys to be watching a lot of films and also participating in the QAs that are hosted by yours truly. I want to see. Although I am Colombian, but I've been here in Chula Vista in San Diego long enough that I'm from the might as well be Mexican tribe. So I got this shirt. I got this specific shirt. You guys can see it. It's got a bunch of This is gonna be my festival shirt. I'm only gonna wear it during festival streams. So if you guys catch me wearing it more than once, just don't call me. I'm not dirty. This is just my festival.
Okay.
But it's a virtual thing. Don't worry about it. But like I said, everybody go ahead and go to sdlatinofilm.com. Buy a pass, buy a ticket, watch a movie, be a part of one of the QAs. There's movies with John Leguizamo. There's movies. There's horror movies, comedies. LGBTQ films, Frontera Filmmaker Showcase with people that are local to San Diego. That's where we were when we were in the festival. There's Migrant Voices challenges. There's poems about beans. What are you doing next? Corn or cactus? What's the next poem about, Karolina?
You just gave me a really good idea about cactus. Because we have a cactus in the Mexican flag.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Where can people? Do you have a production company or a filmmaking page somewhere where people can follow you, or just kind of slaying on the radar?
They can just follow me on Instagram, Karolina Esqueda. That's it. But Karolina with an A.
All right.
With an A with a K. That's what I meant.
Karolina with a K.
Karolina with a K. All right. And then Shelly, you're. I see a lot of stuff. Is Cuyo the production company still? Or what do you guys do?
Yes, production company is Cuyo, Cuyo Productions, and then mine is Shelly with 3 L's. Ro.
Shelly with 3 L's.
Because I opened Shelly with 2 L's about 5 years ago. I do not know with what email or what the password is. So it has no followers and no nothing. It's just there, dead, but I can't get it. I already emailed Instagram. You can get it. So Shelly with 3 L's.
Shelly with 3 L's. Shelly.
Yes.
All right. Well, ladies, I appreciate you guys taking the time to talk with me today. I wish you nothing but the best in the festival. I will be talking with both of you, hopefully, moving forward. Obviously, as filmmakers trying to connect in for future projects and stuff. So thank you guys very much for coming on the stream. Thank you, everybody who was a part of the stream tonight.
Thank you, guys.
I'll also be sharing this tomorrow on YouTube. It'll be live as well on the Twin Burrito page. So you'll still be able to share it with friends and family that maybe didn't get to comment. So, if the people that commented, Cesar, who else was on here? If your mom wants tickets, let me know. All the moms that commented get free passes if they haven't already gotten them to watch their daughter's films. I'll make sure I can hook you guys up. Thank you for watching. Thanks everybody for being on the stream today. This is Big Chief Burrito. Go watch the virtual San Diego Latino Film Festival online, and we are done.
Thank you, Lou.